And so I believe that AIPAC, this pro-Israel lobby group that, by their own admission, they say that their sole purpose is to elect and support candidates that are unwavering in their support for the far-right Israeli government.
So she made a good point there, and I'm glad that she super simplified it. Their sole purpose is to elect people that's going to represent their values, their standards, and their position when it comes to Israel. The last time I checked, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong down below, that's our job as American citizens to elect these people to do our bidding. So one thing that I've been trying to advocate to people when I'm having these conversations, when it comes to, voting for Democrats or Republicans, or potentially more important, a third party, Green Party, or whoever wants to run, because honestly, that's how desperate people are with different representation in government. But it's a larger conversation that needs to be had instead of just plugging in a new party. Like you're plugging in, if you're old enough to understand this analogy, you're inserting a PlayStation CD game into a broken PlayStation system. It's just not gonna work. No matter how many brand new games you buy, your system is broken. So one of the major aspects I think we need to solve before we even think about a third party or any trying to fix the Republican or Democratic Party, we need to talk about the money that is influencing politicians. Because I don't know if you noticed, but what beats Republicans, Democrats, Green Party is green money. And that will influence Republicans to act like Democrats, Democrats to act like Republicans, so on and so forth. And when you have money in your government, for a fact, if you have super PACs, any type of corporate money, thousands upon thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, you can know for a fact that you're going to have some corruption one way or another. So a lot of these conversations, a lot of these arguments, fighting that we're having is going to fall on dead ears because they're getting paid to do X, Y, and Z. And there's very few people that can rise above that. Because like I said plenty of times, I'm human. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep it a 100 with you. If somebody offered me $2 million, $5 million a year to say X, Y, and Z, I don't know if I'm strong enough to resist that kind of money, because I'm just like you, just trying to pay my bills, barely afloat. I got kids, been married 15 years. I got bills. I got a family, 2 grandkids I need to take care of. You know what I'm saying? So money talks louder than votes, unfortunately. And one example is Cori Bush. Now, I got to admit, I'm not super well-rounded when it comes to each cabinet member in the situations they're going to. But this interview she did with Mark Lamont Hill, it's kind of saddened me. You know what I'm saying? Because from the stories that I've heard regarding Cori Bush, she seemed to be a pretty stand-up person. You know what I'm saying? And hearing how she was kind of bullied by her own campaign, by her own Democratic allies, kind of shows you how dirty politics can be. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and hear from herself.
Congresswoman Cori Bush, thanks so much for joining us on Upfront.
Thanks for having me.
You recently fought a hard battle to keep your congressional seat, ultimately losing out in the Democratic primary to your opponent, Wesley Bell. In your district, historically, Incumbents have been pretty safe from challenges from inside the party. Why do you think you faced such a hard challenge?
100%, because of my position as it relates to Palestinian liberation. I am the lead sponsor of the Ceasefire Now resolution in Congress, and I sponsored that legislation, introduced it with Representative Rashida Tlaib and several others. But not only did I introduce the legislation, but I kept speaking up. I kept raising the issue. We put pressure on the administration. And so because I was out front pushing, I wasn't going to be silenced because of what someone could do to me. And so I believe that AIPAC, this pro-Israel lobby group that, by their own admission, they say that their sole purpose is to elect and support candidates that are unwavering in their support for the far-right Israeli government.
So she made a good point there, and I'm glad that she super simplified it. Their sole purpose is to elect people that's going to represent their values, their standards, and their position when it comes to Israel. The last time I checked, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong down below, that's our job as American citizens to elect these people to do our bidding, because they're public servants for us, not no other country. I don't know. I haven't read the Constitution in a while, but let me know if I'm wrong about that. I don't know.
They took that as a threat. Let me say this, if I had not sponsored that legislation, I probably would be returning to Congress in January.
In light of that logic that you got right in the crosshairs of AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, would you have done anything different? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. My purpose going to Congress in the first place was to be able to speak up and stand up for those who are the most vulnerable in our communities, to be able to fight for justice and freedom, and that doesn't have borders. But also, this was work that I had been working on prior to entering Congress. This work with me goes back to the Ferguson uprising in 2014, 2015. So I ran on ending the occupation and supporting Palestinian liberation. So to go into Congress and then to be faced with bombs dropping on a whole population of people and to not say anything, absolutely not. I had to speak up.
That makes sense.
And that's the type of leadership that we want, right? We want people in our Congress, in our government, to reflect our values. And I'm pretty sure if you was to do a poll throughout America, we want a ceasefire. We don't want to continue giving our money to fund a genocide. We don't want that. But unfortunately, like I said at the beginning, money speaks louder than votes. But we need to make sure that we value these kind of people, because I hear a lot of Democrats crying and complaining, saying I'm not going to vote for the Democratic Party because they don't represent my values, X, Y, and Z, and blah, blah, blah. But we literally have a Cori Bush here, and I know there's more individuals that are speaking out, but we're not giving them attention. So it's like, painting a broad brush of the Democratic Party as an institution that doesn't have our benefits or doesn't represent our benefits and our values. But they're literally kicking people out, through campaign organizing, funding opposition campaigns, and inserting people to do their bidding. That's literally what we don't want, right? So it feels, once again, it's more than just a blue party, a red party, and replacing them with another color party. It is literally the system that is corrupting these people. I mean, I don't know any other way to explain that. Let's go to the next section here. And like always, if you guys want to watch the whole entire interview here, definitely go to this page here and go ahead and check that out. 38. There we go.
About the millions and millions and millions, that's not an exaggeration. They spent more than $8 million to back Wesley Bell through its super PAC, the United Democracy Project. We saw Jamal Bowman's race in New York, $14.5 million to boost his opponent's campaign. AIPAC is dumping big money into these campaigns, and they're doing it particularly, look like, against squad members.
Yes.
Why?
Black.
Okay, so two things there. There's the progressive politics, and then all of y'all are black.
Yes.
Talk to me about the black part of it first.
Yeah, so the thing is, when we look at where I believe, I'll say this, where I believe AIPAC is going, they would rather have someone in these seats that is not speaking up for black liberation, who is not making the connection between black and Palestinian solidarity. They would rather have someone who they believe is, not going to be the activist. I came to Congress as the activist. I call myself the politivist, the politician and the activist. They don't want that in the United States Congress.
And she makes a good point. And that's something that I've been kind of seeing a connection when I'm reading stories of James Baldwin, Huey P. Newton, let me see, W.E.B. Du Bois, individuals like that. When you understand your history, black history, American history, and the struggles that black folks had to overcome, literally fight and die to overcome, you can kind of see connections when it comes to other people across the world. And I don't know about you, but as black folks, when we know that history, we can't do nothing but feel for other people. And not only feel, we're active. We're going to say something. I can't speak for other cultures and other people, but seeing black history, we do that well. If there's anything black folks can do, is we can fight for ourselves and we can fight for other people because we've been there. We done that. We seen it. We live it. You know what I'm saying? So we have to understand it's a power to fight for ourselves, which is good. You want to do that because you can't liberate nobody else if you're stuck in chains, if you're being occupied by whoever is occupying you. You can't assist nobody else. Plain and simple.
Congress. They don't want that in their politics.
Why are they particularly upset when black people are doing it?
Because we are the ones that typically are going to speak up. We're the ones that are going to speak out against injustice. We're the ones that are going to stand up against human suffering that crosses borders. So, of course, we're not the ones that they want to see there. And then also, my work, fighting for the unhoused, fighting for to increase funding for black maternal health and black infant mortality, making sure that we are fighting against police violence. Those are things, fighting for reparations. I will continue to fight for reparations for black folk, for the descendants of enslaved black people in this country. So those are things that they don't want to see move. And let me say this
and
too.
they intersect. Help me break something down though, because this.
Man, that was a beautiful point. Let's go ahead and go to the next section here, 902.
For me, so I'm talking to you.
You've been very critical of Joe Biden's administration and its support of Israel, calling it a failure in leadership. Well, Biden's no longer in the race. I'm sure you heard. Kamala Harris, the vice president, is now the Democratic nominee. Now we've had a couple months to hear Kamala Harris's positions on what's going on in the Middle East, specifically Israel-Palestine. Do you see a difference between the two? So
one thing about that is difficult because on one hand, I hear that, from both, whether it's President Biden or Vice President Harris, that there is no difference where they stand here But then I think very recently, maybe in the last couple of days, there was an interview where she said, "I'm going to be my own, I'm my own person, have fresh ideas." And so I'm kind of conflicted on what's going to be different, because, President Biden said basically they've been lock and step on these decisions, but the vice president speaking to the humanity of Palestinians, publicly. That's appreciated. The fact that she didn't say, yes, Netanyahu is my ally. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I do remember that interview. I forget who it was with, and I made a video about that. And I don't know why so many people were confused about it, but she did make a distinction, which was subtle. And, you have to make sure you have ears to hear it. But she said she is allied with the Israeli people, and she will always support them to defend themselves. So she didn't just, name drop Benjamin. She didn't say the Israeli government, which, someone like Biden would have done it. So it is a little showing. It shows a little light at the end of the tunnel that Kamala might be able to make some changes if she does get into office. But once again, the establishment has its way of checking people, so.
But what we need from her is decisive action. What we need from her
She
is...
said Israel the United States will always defend Israel's right to defend itself, or support Israel's right to defend itself. That sounds like continued aid for weapons.
Absolutely, yes. But when there are people right now who are saying, I can't vote for genocide. I can't vote for her because of this. Some people are saying, I don't even want to be a Democrat anymore because of what I'm seeing and hearing, and there is no change. There's no arms embargo. There's been
Do you feel that way?
Right now, I'm like, so two things with me. Number one.
Hey, first off, if someone like Cori Bush is really undecisive and can't just give an answer like, yes, I'm a Democrat. The party got its ups and downs and its pros and cons, but yes, I'm a Democrat. She didn't say it with her chest. And that might be something to look at, something to think about. And that's literally the same conversation I had to have with myself. It just doesn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? It's not a party I can wear on my sleeve and say with confidence, I am a Democrat, and about to hear her explanation, this is the internal conversation that a lot of Democratic voters are having.
I'm in Missouri. I'm in Missouri.
I'm safe.
I'm in Missouri.
For those watching around the world, that means she's safe and she understands that her vote doesn't necessarily sway the election. Just to be clear, though, if the election were today, could you, in good conscience, vote for Kamala Harris?
I don't know. But the thing is, me voting, so you said good conscience. Good conscience is different than strategy.
Okay.
So to vote for her because out of strategy, because I definitely don't want a Donald Trump presidency again. What Donald Trump, I feel.
And that is the dilemma just about every Democratic voter is having, at least those that have compassion for the Palestinian people. You don't feel like you can endorse Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. But strategically, because Trump is not going to be any better, any more progressive when it comes to innocent lives. That's not going to happen. But strategically, you have to do a thing. But it's going to hurt you in your heart. And that's exactly how I feel. I know I have to vote for Democrats, but it's going to hurt my soul. And unfortunately, with this broken system, that's the predicament it puts us kind of voters in. It's not a simple black and white type of voting. I wish, because that'd be a lot more easier for me. But unfortunately, it's a lot more difficult. And I do understand, you gotta vote your morals. But if you get that wrong person in, oh, screw your morals. You're sad now that almost one reporting that I seen close to 200,000 innocent Palestinian people either killed or severely injured in the past year. You think that's bad? Oh, let Trump get in that office. Trump is going to bomb people himself just to prove a point to his Christian voters and to look, strong in front of the world that he can kill innocent people. Oh, you think Joe Biden is committing a genocide? Let the wrong person in that seat, and we gonna see. So try it if you want.
Can do to whether it's the black community or women's rights or the LGBT community, children at the border, all of these issues, so many of the fights that the people are that in this country who are fighting to get the arms embargo, to get the ceasefire, to get the humanitarian aid in. So many of those folks are then going to be pulled to go and fight. Now I got to fight, over here because this is happening to my people or this is happening in my community at the hands of Donald Trump. And so we won't be able to come together like Voltron to be able to then, fight as much to save the lives of Palestinians. So that's my one thing is just that we're going to be so pulled apart because of what I believe that he would do.
And once again, beautiful explanation. I'm glad that she feels comfortable in sharing her story. Unfortunately, like I said, the way that this system is designed is to put voters like myself who doesn't want to vote for Donald Trump, because I know for a fact, I'm not a betting man, but I bet my last dollar he's going to be 10 times worse than what we're seeing now. I don't want to let a person like that into office. But at the same time, the Democratic Party is bought and sold. And if they're going to do something, it's going to be a lot of pressure being put onto them from us. And if they do something, one is going to be a little too late. It's going to be hundreds of more thousands of people dead and injured. And it's going to be very little. So it's like, that's not what this country should be putting their citizens through. But unfortunately, that is the case. And like I said at the beginning of this video, plugging in the Green Party is not going to make a difference, honestly, in my opinion. But once again, if you guys want to continue this conversation, let me know in the Discord down below. Join the Discord server so we can continue this conversation, or let me know how you guys feel in the comments down below. And like always, let's have that conversation.